Okay, guys, welcome back to Let's Get Freaky podcast. I'm super excited to welcome Jessica to the show tonight. Jessica, how are we? Thank you for being here.
I'm doing pretty great. I'm super excited to be here today.
Thank you. Thank you. I always say I'm super excited. Every episode I say that, but I am super excited. I am. No, I mean that. So you are from, are we allowed to say where you're from? Do you mind saying?
Where I'm from, I grew up in Texas,
Hmm.
in like central Texas. It's real country.
Cool.
Um, I don't live there right now. I live in the Northeast,
Okay.
but I've had a lot of interesting experiences while living in Texas. It's a very interesting place. Some of them still kind of stuck with me, like the
Hmm.
ones that really stick with you.
Yeah, oh, for sure. When you experience stuff that you can't explain, it's just there's no going back. So I like to go to the start where it all started for you. Where does it start with the paranormal?
Okay, so long story. I'm actually like a medium, which I didn't know until I started talking to like Megan and Isaac from the Hidden in the Shadows podcast.
Cool guys.
I started listening to them and realized that I really synced up with what Megan was, experiencing. And then I sort of like remembered my experiences as a child weren't what everybody else was experiencing. And I thought it was like normal, like, oh, everybody sees this stuff. No, it's not. It's not normal. So, um, I started seeing things when I was about 8. The first ghost I ever saw was in my kitchen. I was eating dinner and I was still in there. And I was like, I just saw like, I saw like a boy walk past me. I thought it was weird because my brother kind of looked like that, but I thought my brother was like in bed or in his room. But I saw him walk all the way out the back door through the garage, and I freaked out and I got up and I went back to the back door because I didn't hear it open. So I like went back there and like all the locks were still locked. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what is happening?" Like this is like my first like sighting of like an actual ghost that I can recall. Um, but it really kicked off when my parents built a house off of this lake. It pretty much scarred everybody, I'm not even gonna lie. Like we still talk about it to this day. Um, I don't know what was going on with this, but it was like it was really, really haunted. Like there was like a demon there. There was multiple like ghosts. Like my little sister even remembers it, and she was only like a toddler when we were living there. But it was a different experience for me than it was for them because, like I said, I could see more of it than they could. So I was seeing things like people standing around me in my bedroom or like talking to me, like actually hearing them talk to me, and not like imagining it. Like when you hear your name being called and you're just like, what is that? That was me every day living in this house. It was crazy. That area in general, though, is just bizarre. Like I looked into some of the history of it. The town was built in like a meteor crater, and the lake was man-made. Um, whatever was there before is almost completely lost to history, but there's a lot of conspiracies about it.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
What
They were
sort of
saying,
conspiracies?
so I talked to some of the locals and they were telling me that like there was something with the Native Americans there that they basically like ran them off the property and that they'd cursed the land so that no white man may ever build there, was what I was told by my Native American friends that still live out there. And I can believe that because there was a lot of instances where we would be outside of the house, like around the house. My stepsister and I one time heard like drums and chanting in the woods. That was really weird. We couldn't figure out where it was coming from. It was just like all around us. We found a lot of artifacts too, such as like arrowheads and like pieces of pottery and things. So there's definitely something there, but there's no history of it really. Also, it may have been a site of the Civil War. Some of the spirits I was seeing were wearing like Confederate soldier uniforms. So
Interesting.
that was also interesting.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, so it was like, I don't know, like 2006. I was a teenager. And that show Ghost Hunters just came out. And they were like talking to the ghosts. And I was like, why are they doing that? So then I tried to do it. And my experience with that was not what I expected. I was like, hey, if you're here, like turn this flashlight on. And the flashlight would just come on. I was like, oh, okay. Interesting. So after I started communicating with them like that, things started to get more aggressive, I guess. Like, um, my friends would never come over because they were scared of the house. I started to have like the sheets pulled off of me at night.
Oh
You
man.
know, like they would just slowly kind of pull the
Hmm.
sheets down and then like grab your ankles.
How old
Yeah.
was you when you first moved to that house?
I was 12.
Okay.
So I lived there until I was about 15.
Hmm.
And it was always like that. Like even the first night we were there, you could hear like a music box playing. And I was like, did anybody hear that music box? I don't know where that came from. None of us have one, right?
Oh
So
my.
I don't
There is
know.
something scary about the sound of a music box.
I know. And I was like echoing through the walls. I'm like, where is that coming from? And like I said, they built this house there. So it's not that the house, I feel like it was the land. It had to have been the land.
Hmm.
But we had neighbors come over and experience things. I mean, they would tell me that their house was haunted too, but they said that ours was like on another level. I had a neighbor one time in high school. We were sitting by like a bonfire outside, and a log rolls off of it, like a flaming like ember log, right? And he says that he saw a hand reach out of it and try to get him, and he freaked out and ran home.
What, like a flame hand?
Like a flaming hand, like reached out of the log and tried to grab him. Yeah. He said he
Whoa.
saw it. Nobody else saw it. We saw the log roll off and like, you know, it was kind of towards him, but he like really freaked out and he wouldn't talk to us for a while, and then he told us that's what happened.
That is wild. Man. So a lot of people say to me, like being in the UK, oh, you've got all this old history around and old buildings and stuff, which we have, and there is a lot of spooky stuff in the UK. But it's the same in the US as well. I know US is slightly newer, but there was something there before the settlers got there and made it America what it is today. There was still stuff going on that land.
It has a lot to do with like the location too, because this
Hmm.
was in a area that was really heavy in limestone. And you know, they say limestone can like magnify spiritual activity. So, because it was actually like a limestone lake
Hmm.
and it had very heavy limestone deposits. So, I don't know if that made it worse. Probably.
Hmm.
It probably did. This area was crazy though. I've seen all kinds of things. Um,
I want it all. I want it all.
like, I don't even, so, because we lived in a wooded area, I would go for walks a lot. And we used to have to like keep, BB guns out because we would see like bobcats and mountain lions and just big snakes, like
That,
scary stuff.
that's quite scary anyway. Like that's
Yeah. It's like Texas is like the American Australia or something.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Um, one time I actually saw a black panther at a stop sign, which nobody believed me until they found out when I escaped from the Dallas Zoo. I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
It was really scary. It was like the size of my car. Like it came up next to my car and like looked at me and I was like, ah!
What was you driving?
I was in a Camry. So it was like a regular car.
Hmm.
But
But
this was like the time before cell phones really had the cameras on them, unfortunately. So there's a lot of stuff I wish I could have captured that I saw out there. A
yeah,
lot of stuff,
that
especially
is
driving.
wild.
Yeah.
I mean, we get big cat sightings in the UK as well. That some say that they're living in the wild, which is I don't know. My mother-in-law did see one 20 years ago in Essex in the UK, and she stands by that. And there was reports of big cats in the area at that time as well. I mean,
The cougars were normal out there. That was something that people would see a lot. It was even our school mascot. It's
really,
like,
the
why?
Panthers, Friday Night Lights, is it that?
It was actually close to there. We actually played them in a football game. Like
Wow.
it was that school was within our like driving district. Like it was like a 30-minute drive from where I was living.
That's cool, man. I love that show. I loved
Yeah,
that show.
honestly, like football in Texas is like what everybody did. Like high
Hmm.
school football. If you weren't at the game, like what are you doing?
Yeah,
Why aren't you here? Everybody went. It was
that
cool.
is so cool.
Yeah.
Man. So going back to the little boy that you saw, was that a solid, was that the first time you'd ever seen anything
That was
paranormal?
no, actually, it wasn't the first time. It was the first time where I realized it wasn't natural. Because growing up, like being little, I used to always see people standing kind of around my like bed and like or in my doorway, just sort of like watching over me. And I would see them like they were real people. It would kind of scare me, but I would like sleep under my covers a lot. But I was little and I would tell my parents, I'm like, hey, there's like people always standing in my doorway. Can you like close the door? And they're like, oh, you have such an imagination, you know? Like I'm like, I don't think that's what this is. Um,
Wow. So you've had to deal
but
with
it
this
didn't
from the start for your whole
Yeah, it
life.
didn't scare me that much though, except for the fact that like I don't want to see people around my bed. But this thing that I saw when I was 8 wasn't like natural. Like it was like almost maybe like a mimic or something. Like it looked just like my brother and I didn't like it. It gave me like really like almost like, you can feel the air kind of like changing, like the static, and you just get like a sinking feeling. It was like that. I was like, oh, I don't know what this is. This isn't what I'm used to. It
Yeah.
was like my first dark entity.
Interesting. Sorry, did I cut you off? Was you going to say something you saw in the forest? Was you
Oh,
you
yeah.
took
This
the
is the
BB
reason.
guns. You had the BB
Yeah.
guns.
This is the reason I wanted to talk to you, actually. So, I did not ever hear about Dogman before. I didn't know anything about Dogman until I started listening to your podcast. And I was like, that sounds a lot like this thing I've been seeing. I wonder if that's what that is. It was like, almost looked like a really tall wolf or something, but it was like all gray and it almost looked like it didn't have a lot of hair either. And it just had really like tall, like dangling arms. It was really, I don't know how to describe it. I think the closest thing I can say, if you've watched the Harry Potter movies, it looks like the werewolf in Harry Potter. Like in the fifth one, I think. Like the really big, like, I don't, and it had like a lot of like big teeth and everything. And I got really close to it. And I saw it multiple times. So I saw it in the forest by our house, and I saw it driving one time to a friend's house. It came out of the tree line, and it was running next to my car. And I freaked out so much. Like I was like speeding up, like, oh my gosh, what is that? And when I got to my friend's house, I told him about it, and he's like, yeah, we have stuff like that out here. Nobody really knows what it is. What do you mean you have stuff like this is like a normal thing for you? Like, why are you acting so nonchalant? This scared the crap out of me. Like, what? Because, living in the country, like, you're used to animals and stuff, but like, stuff that you recognize, not huge wolf-like creatures with very long legs.
Hmm.
I mean, it was probably like 7 feet tall. I- What is that, you know?
And you say it was running up next. Was it keeping up with the car as well?
It was keeping up with the car, and I was going like 45, 50 miles an hour. It was keeping up with me
Wow. Was that running on
for a
all
while.
fours or was that?
Yeah, I was running on all fours.
Wow, man.
I
Wow.
remember really wishing I had some kind of picture or something of it. I really wish I did because
When
it's
you're in
so
those
hard to describe.
situations, you don't even think about
You don't
pictures.
think about it.
That's
Yeah.
wild. So when was the first time you saw this creature?
I was, I saw what I think maybe was like a younger one in the woods by my house first. And I thought it was a coyote though. And I was just trying to get home because I'm not supposed to be out past dusk. We're not supposed to do that because of the animals, but it didn't look quite right. It almost looked like a wolf, which I thought was weird because we didn't really have wolves in the area, but it didn't, it looked almost, like I said, it had really long legs. Like it was very tall and it didn't look like a dog, really. Like it kind of did, but not really. And like the teeth were a lot bigger. So it was really freaky. And I basically just like booked it the other direction. Like, nope. you know, and ran home.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Did this creature acknowledge you? Did it see that you saw it, or
Yeah, I think so. It looked right at me. Like I saw the whole face and I just was like, no, I don't know what you are. But my mom told me to just try to act really big and scare it off. So looked at it for like 2 seconds and I was like, I don't think so. I think my house is close. I think I can make it if
wow?
I run. Yeah. I don't
Did
think it moved though from the spot it was in.
did
I think
anyone
it just
else
stayed
see
right
it?
there.
Did anyone else in your family see it, or
You know, I'm actually not sure. I know I've talked to them about like the paranormal stuff in the house, and all of them have shared experiences, but I don't think anybody's mentioned the thing in the woods. Um,
wow?
I could ask.
Yeah, that's
That'd be,
very
yeah,
interesting.
that'd be something.
So, how old was you when you first saw that? You might
I
have said.
was 14.
Okay.
I was 14 when I saw that.
Wow. And at the
And then
time,
the
what
second
was,
time I was like 19 or 20. It was years later. It wasn't in the same location exactly either. It was the same area kind of, but it was maybe like 20 minutes away. Still in a heavily wooded area, still in the same kind of general area, but not exactly. Um,
did that look
I
the
don't,
same as the one you saw before? Or was that
but
when you was in the car?
it did, but it was a lot bigger. Like a lot bigger, like a full grown one, not like a baby.
Wow.
So it was like I said, it looked like it was like 7 feet tall because it was kind of running sort of in the ditch, but it was still like very visible. Like the ditch, and it's just like running.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is wild. So how did you lose that? Did it just eventually stop chasing
It just
or
eventually stopped chasing me. Like it went back into the tree line and just, I don't know. I didn't really, I just like kept driving for a while. Like, I don't want to stop.
yeah, no, I bet. Wow. So did that
That's
just it did obviously that acknowledged you because it's chasing you. But did you see it come out of the forest or did you just you're driving
Yeah,
along?
I know I saw it come out because it was huge and it was like reflecting the moonlight off of it. So, and you kind of pay attention to animals because you don't want to hit anything. So you look for like the little eye shines in the woods, make sure like nothing jumps out at you, nothing scurries across the road because people have like died from hitting deer and stuff out there. Um, so I had slowed down because I thought I was like, oh, there's an animal out here, and then I was like, oh, I don't know what that is. Let me just let me just get out of here now. So
Was that just kind of eating like in the road, just what was it doing at the time when you first
it was
saw it?
just it just like emerged from the woods, like it was running already. Like it just popped right out of the tree line and was just like running along the side for probably like 30 seconds, and then it just goes right back.
Mhm. Whoa. So you got a good look at this thing.
I got a pretty good look at it, yeah. I haven't really seen anything that looks too similar like it. Like somebody told me there's like a long-legged wolf or something, and I was like, that's not it. I looked. Like the legs are kind of like that, but they were much longer. And it was really like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Somebody else told me it might even be like that Native American shape-shifting spirit. Have
Hmm.
you heard of that
Hmm.
before? I forget
Yeah.
what it was called.
So the skinwalker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was told it might be one of those because of the Native Americans in the area really like protective of the land.
Hmm.
Um but I don't know. I thought that was like I don't know. I didn't really hear about that until the last couple of years also. So I had really no idea what any of that stuff was. I was only familiar with like spirits.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the other side of it, like the animals and like everything else, I was like no experience really, like no knowledge about it. I have a little bit of knowledge now, but I don't know. And I almost feel like it could have been. It could have been like a skinwalker.
Mm.
It's totally,
Well,
totally plausible.
it kind of fits in with your like the activity that was happening in your home and the fact
Yeah.
if it was a cursed land, I mean those things seem to come hand in hand. Like skinwalkers are never normally they're not a positive thing at all. Some people won't even say their name. You know,
This
some
place
people.
was really negative. It was really bad. Like it had us, we actually moved because we thought we were like in danger living there. Like we thought that it was gonna like kill us. My
Man,
parents got out of there so fast. They ended up like just renting a house somewhere for a couple of months until they figured it out because it was like it got really bad towards the end of our time there.
wow. So it was gradually getting worse and worse and
It
worse and
was getting a
building.
lot worse, yeah. Like my mom started sleepwalking and she was like breaking things in her sleep and then just like basically she would wake up covered in bruises and scratches and like things would be broken around the house because she would do it in her sleep. Um, my parents were gone a lot too, and I had a younger sister. I'm about 10 years older than her, so she was only like 4 or 5 while we were here. And I used to take care of her a lot while they were gone. And I remembered many times I would be cooking dinner and I would like hear voices and think somebody was in the house. And I would have her like go in the bathroom and lock herself in while I check it out. And there would never ever be anybody in the house. Because, we live in the
Must
country
have
and
been
you got to be careful.
terrifying. Yeah.
It really was. It really was. And she actually remembers that too. I talked to her about it the other day. I was like, "Do you remember anything?" And she's like, "I remember a lot." She remembered a lot about it because she's like, it was like a huge deal because she was young and it was very traumatic for her. I felt kind
Mhm.
of bad. I was older.
That must have been tough, though. I mean, I don't think
Yeah.
I could handle that now, like, let alone.
No, and we had a lot of like poltergeist activity too. Like we had a lot of things moving even like right in front of us. Like one time we were just, it was like a Sunday afternoon and we were playing like Monopoly or something, just sitting at the table, the whole family. And like somebody's like cup just like just flies off the table and hits the wall. And we were like, okay. And things like that would happen often. Sometimes when I was at school, like my dresser drawers would just like open and all my stuff would be everywhere. So I would come home to like a messy room or my shower would just turn on and my sink would turn on and all the water would turn on and I would be asleep. All my lights would be on. Like
Man. And
it's
was
yeah.
you dealing with this kind of stuff every day? Was it like a daily
Oh yeah, it
occurrence?
was a daily thing. It was definitely a daily thing. Some days were better than others for sure. Like some days were really bad. There was once or twice that I couldn't even handle being in the house and I ended up sleeping outside. We had a boathouse because we lived on a lake, so I would literally sleep on the boathouse because I could not deal with whatever it was that I saw.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, I had to get rid of stuff in my room. Like I had a rocking chair. Nope, had to get rid of it. It just kept rocking by itself.
Oh
I had a
man.
TV in my room. I had to get rid of the TV because it kept turning on and the static would come on and the voices would come through. And I said, nope, unplug this, get rid of it. Take that mirror off my dresser. I don't want it. Like, it was just, we're like, having to basically like change our way of life because of this stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I spent a lot of time outside, walking around, listening to music, trying to deal with it. But finally, they left. The day we moved out, actually, a lot of stuff happened, and they ended up just like, nope, let's just go. It was like,
Really?
yeah. So we had started packing up everything, and we were like moving boxes out, and right away, like the one of the dressers that my parents were carrying got like knocked out of their hands, and they almost like dropped it on their feet, and they were both like, "Why did you do that?" And I was like, "Actually, I'm sitting here, and I saw." Like I saw somebody actually push it. So I was like, wow, that's crazy. And then while they were arguing about it in my room, I had a canopy bed and one of the poles just went right through the wall. Like it was still intact and everything. It just went right through the wall. And they were like, "You know what? Let's just hire movers." And like just dropped everything and left. I was like, okay,
Man. So when you
I
say
get
you saw
that.
someone push, you saw an entity
I actually
push.
saw somebody there pushing it, yeah.
What did they look
And
like? Can you remember what they looked like?
yeah, it was a guy. I want to say he was wearing like a gray jacket and gray pants, and he had like a weird little hat on. Um, and he looked at me and he smiles and he pushes it. I was like, oh, okay, so we're doing this? Gotcha.
Man.
Um, I've seen a lot of things there. I remember the first time I told my mom I saw a ghost at that house. And she said that she believed me, which was new to me. Nobody ever believed me, right? So she said she believed me because there was no way that I could fake my like reaction, that she just believed it because of my reaction. So I was 12 and I was just playing in like a little side room with little trinkets that they had in there. And I saw like an old woman walk in with a nightgown and like dirty feet, and she like looked right at me, and it was so clear. I really thought there was somebody in there for a second. And then once I realized what was going on, I just like booked it out of the room. And then I ran so fast, I almost knocked into her. And she's like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "I think I saw a ghost." So it was the first time at that house I saw anything. My mom used to just see shadows, and I never saw shadows. I always saw full-blown apparitions, like all
Mhm.
the time. Um, I think I think we can almost control it though, because sometimes you wouldn't see people, but you would see like things moving. You know, like I've seen things like levitate or disappear and reappear. They used to really like to mess with us and hide our things. Like one time I was cooking dinner and the spatula I was using ended up on top of the refrigerator. I
Mhm.
was looking for it. I'm like, where'd it go? I'm over here cooking. It's why is it on top of the fridge? Like,
Yeah. So it's like the trickster aspect. They're like playing with you and they're, you know,
yeah, they were very like active, always talking to us too. Like I would hear my name being called constantly. It was hard to sleep. Um, yeah, they pretty much just ruined life for us while we were there. I'm surprised we stayed there as long as we did, honestly.
that is wild. What do you think would, I know it's difficult to say, but what do you think would have happened had you had stayed there? Do you think it would have progressed to a very,
So I will say my stepdad was possessed at one point, and he tried to harm us, and he had to leave the house for a while, and then he had cleared his head, and then that at that moment was when he realized that we need to get out of this house because it was dangerous to us. Um, I've had moments where I was told I had levitated off my bed a little bit, and that's really scary to me.
Mhm.
Um, there was some nights where my mom was so scared that she would literally grab us and just grab us and go stay in a hotel. Like we wouldn't even stay there. We would just leave.
Wow, that is wild.
It was
So
pretty crazy.
obviously with your abilities, this was heightened and you were getting the brunt of the experiences, is that right?
Yep. Definitely deemed as the weird kid at school.
Yeah, I got that. I got that. I get that now. Well, I'm still the weird guy at work because of the show and stuff.
I'm definitely
So,
the weird person at work. I work in a haunted hospital now, so
oh
that's
wow.
fun.
So are you still you like because you're a medium, you've got these abilities. Are you still seeing entities
I
on it?
still see it. Yeah. I try to, so I've learned a few things though from Megan. She taught me how to like shield my area so that I can like just keep my work area protected and like keep my house protected. But you know, like it's a really big campus that I work on. So every now and then I'll just like walk around and be like, "Oh, hey." Like that's fun, you
Yeah.
know.
Man, so if it wasn't switched off, because I do think that, so I've had a lot of experiences myself. I do think we can switch it off ourselves
I can
a
kind
little
of
bit.
switch it off.
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like there's definitely a dial. Like it's never like all the way off, but if I feel like I need to open it more,
Hmm.
like for a reason, it tends to stay open for a while. So like if I do something here or for a friend, like I'll, you know, help people out sometimes after I learned how to like do the energy shielding and I have to open myself more. Then when I go back to work the next day, I'll be like, hey, there's a bunch of stuff going on. There's a lot of activity going on because I didn't like fully shut it off yet.
Hmm.
It's just super wide open, so I got to be careful.
Yeah.
Be
Oh.
careful tomorrow going to work.
No, the hospital's obviously must be a place of high activity anyway because of what goes on there. Obviously, you get a lot of tragedy there. You get people passing things.
It's also like really old. It was built in the 1800s.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
it's one of the oldest ones still in operation in this area. Um, and I'm working in like it was originally built to be a fallout shelter for the hospital, and it was repurposed many times. and now it's like an office space. But I see things down there sometimes. Like I see in my conference room, it looks like I'll walk in and see like almost like an impression of like experimental surgeries being done in there. And like, yeah. Um, I've seen people in uniform walking up and down the halls that don't look like us. They look like they're wearing something completely different than what we're wearing. Um,
Interesting.
I've gotten many messages from people there as well that keep trying to tell, like, ask for help. They're like, I don't know where I am or like what happened. Like, I'm like, I don't have time for this. Like, I have a meeting to get to, like
Yeah.
it's really distracting
So, so
sometimes.
do you think this is activity that took place in the past that might have been a bit nefarious, not good?
I want to say yeah, but I don't know 100%. I just know based off of what I've seen.
Hmm.
However, before that hospital was built, it was actually a mental hospital that was there that was demolished.
Okay.
And there are also areas that were purchased cheap because they used to be cemeteries, but they exhumed all the bodies that they found, you know,
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
supposedly. Um, so it's
Man.
definitely a lot going on for sure. People ask me, why'd you take the job? I'm like,
You
I
can't
couldn't
escape.
prove
You can't escape the paranormal, especially someone like you that is so open. Like you're going to see stuff wherever you go. I think,
yeah. So
man,
I
I've
try, but
I've got to get
yeah.
back to the dog man because that is one of my favorite subjects with the cryptids. I mean, so
Yeah.
was it two sightings you had, or was there any more?
There was just the two that I can really definitely say yes.
Hmm.
I mean, there was a bunch of strange animals I can't identify that I would see, but those were the two that I was like, this is the same creature that I'm seeing. And it's very distinct, but I don't know what it is. And I could never research it. Like at first, I thought it was like a chupacabra or something because that was going around, but then I was like, it's not what it looks like. It's
Hmm.
different. Um, it really, to me, honestly looks like a werewolf. Like if I could say this is what a werewolf is, this is what it looks like.
Yeah,
It didn't look
man.
humanoid though. It was very odd. I don't know. It just the legs got me. Like the legs were so long. It just looked so unnatural.
Yeah,
Um,
because I mean, if a like a normal wolf stood up on two legs, and you have seen pictures where like wolves do stand up on two legs, like there are pictures out there, and it does just look weird. Like when my dog stands up, it looks kind of weird.
mhm.
They got like not big legs, so that's quite strange that whatever you've seen's got quite long legs. Quite,
Yeah.
yeah,
But it was standing on all fours, and it's like the legs were like 5 times longer than the body almost. Like it was really, really, really tall, but the upper part wasn't as big as the legs. Like it almost had like it almost looked like if a person, like a very tall person, had really long arms and was just standing like a dog would be standing.
hmm.
It was very weird.
Did it have a
But of course,
tail?
no, I don't think so. I don't think I saw one.
Hmm.
Um, and I can't really tell you what the skin color was, but it looked kind of gray in the moon, and the eyes were really like they were reflective, like an animal. Really big teeth, like
Yeah.
really big, like mouth and teeth.
So it had like the snout, like the long,
Yeah, it
like
did.
a
It
an
had like a dog
Alsatian,
snout.
like an Alsatian kind of dog. That kind of look, or German Shepherd, that sort of look, or wolf, like a wolf face,
It
basically.
kind of looks like a wolf.
Hmm.
It looks like a wolf,
Yeah,
but teeth like maybe like a saber-toothy thing. Like, you see them in like museums where they
yeah,
like overlap their mouth and they're just like visible. That's what it looked like.
man, that's terrifying. I mean, so you said there was other creatures that you saw that you couldn't identify. Do you know what they look like? Is there any that you can kind of describe, or?
One of them, I can't really describe that well. It was almost just like At first I thought it was like a bug. It was really small, but it was like jetting around. Then it didn't really look like it had form. It was almost like it was transcendent, like it was changing into different things, and it was like glowing. But the house made us hallucinate things sometimes. So I was like, maybe this is a hallucination, or maybe this is like a weird like fairy thing. I don't know what it is.
Hmm.
Um, it just moved really quickly, and it looked like light, but it looked like it had some kind of shape to it, but it was always changing.
Interesting.
I don't know what that was. And I think my stepsister saw that too, because she was telling me she called it the gold thing in the tree. I was like, what gold thing in the tree? She's like, it's like this gold thing that you can't really tell what it is, but it's like glowing in the tree. I'm like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. The gold thing in the tree? No, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I
But I
see
did see,
them every day.
like, it's totally fine. It just lives in the tree. Like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it once though that I can remember, and I was like, "Is this the thing she was talking about? That gold thing in the tree? It's gotta be."
Was it floating up, or was it like just sort of still?
Yeah, it almost looked like an insect, except it wasn't moving like, it wasn't like darting around. It was sort of just like moving around. Like,
Yeah, yeah. That's
yeah.
strange.
I don't know if that was like a ghost or like I don't know what that was. I have
Yeah,
no idea. It was really interesting though. It
that
was like a
is.
light, like a pure just light.
So
It wasn't.
other than your friend that when you told him about the Dogman and he was like, "Yeah, we've got them." Did he see anything like that? Did he see any?
He's told me he's seen it a bunch. He says that like they live out there in that area and that he has like he's seen them a bunch of times. But I was like,
Wow.
but what is it? And they're like, we don't know. We just see them. And I was like, well, okay. But he's the one who told me that it was probably like the skinwalker. That's what his dad thought. But his dad was like very Native American, like very into like the lore of it. So he always told him like you're not supposed to go outside and whistle, and you're not supposed to, if you see it, like you need to run. Like don't try to look at it, don't try to get any closer. So I was just like, okay, I got to stay away from this thing, whatever it is. So, but he told me him and his brother had seen it before
Interesting.
a few
Man.
times.
So when you first saw it, when you was 14, when you first saw it, what can you remember at the time what you were like, what you put it down to? Or did you just sort of put it to the back of your mind and then when you saw it again, you're like, that's what I saw when I was
I
14?
mean, yeah, I didn't know what it was. I thought maybe it was like a mangy wolf or something. But I was like, there's no wolves out here. Like, that's kind of weird. But because it didn't like the fur was weird. It was like really thin and it didn't really have fur. It was almost just like it looked hairless, but I know it wasn't hairless.
Hmm.
But the skin was a weird color. So I was like, mangy dog? Like, I don't know what that is, but it didn't look quite right to me. So I just, left because
Yeah.
I don't want to get bit by a mangy dog.
No, not at all. No. Man, so it didn't have any fur. It was like just skin.
It didn't look like it had any fur. Yeah. But the skin was like a grayish color. It
Okay.
wasn't like, yeah. And it was sitting down, so I didn't really notice if the legs were extremely long, like the other one.
Hmm.
But the mouth looked the same, and the head shape looked the same.
Man. I mean, this was so you was 14 and then a couple of years later you saw another one. So was that, so I mean, could it possibly have been the same one? Do you think
I
just
don't know,
it just got a
maybe.
little
I
bit
mean,
older?
it's possible, but it was a few miles away. I don't know. Hopefully not, like being stalked by this thing, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
that'd be weird.
Well, if your friend said that he'd seen them as well, I mean, these things are reported all over the US and all over the world.
Yeah,
So,
I actually have friends that still live out there in that area where I saw it. I was gonna see if they saw anything like it
mhm,
because I still talk to them. Because I thought about it the other day. I was like, I want to see if they've ever seen that thing. Oh,
yeah.
it was really interesting.
Did your parents see the? I might have asked this, but did they see any cryptids or anything like that? Any?
Um, I think if they did, they wouldn't have admitted it
Hmm.
because I mean, they weren't even really open to the house being haunted for the longest. They'd be like, the wind,
Yeah,
you know, like,
yeah.
sure. not just the one.
Well, I grew up in a haunted house. I mean, not quite as bad as what you was experiencing, but I did grow up in a haunted house where at times it was very heightened and scary, but we never spoke about it until we left. And my dad was like, "Oh, I'm so glad we got out of there." I remember him saying it, and I remember us after being there, as we got a little bit older, talking about it more. But we never, obviously, at the time talked about it because we were
Sometimes when you
kids.
step back too, like you realize that it was actually real. Because sometimes it's like, there's no way that really happened, you know? But then when it helps when you went through it with somebody that can like validate that you're not insane.
Hmm.
Because it makes you feel crazy when other people, you know, don't believe you.
Yeah, yeah. We don't worry about them. We know what we've
Oh,
seen.
yeah,
We
I don't worry
know
about that anymore.
not everyone's going to believe you. That's just the way life is. But I think most people now can agree, like whether you've seen anything or not, that there's a lot going on around us that we can't explain. Whether that be UFOs, cryptids, ghosts. There's definitely more to our world than
So
they
true.
tell us there is. That is for sure, 100%. So it's very interesting. So have you seen anything else like that, cryptid wise, or anything, any other experiences like that since then, or?
Not really for the cryptid thing. No, that's the only one that I can really recall seeing. Um, I've had a few other instances in that general area that were kind of odd, though. They were more like time slips or something.
Interesting.
Like at my friend's house, I was in her room and I felt really dizzy, so I like laid down on her bed and I thought I took a nap. I wasn't sure, but I remember I sat up in her bed and her room looked different. I was really confused. But then I saw her mom walk in, but her mom was like 16. And I was like, what is happening? And I'm like, am I dreaming? But then she looks at me and she freaks out. And I told her about the dream after, thought it was a dream, afterwards. And she's like, her whole like demeanor changed. And she just like her jaw drops. And I was like, what? She's like, when I was a teenager, I stayed in this house in the summer. And she's like, and I saw a ghost in my room one time, and that was me. I was the ghost. Like I had literally traveled to this point in time, and she thought that I was a ghost. But I rem
Oh,
like she's like, I thought you looked familiar, but I couldn't figure it out. And then once I told her that happened, she was just like, what? Like, what? That was you? Like, I can't believe this. And I don't know how that happened. I really don't. Like, it's like the only way I can describe it is like I got really dizzy and like the room was spinning and I was like, what's happening? And then I just wake up and it's like the 80s.
wow. How long did that last for, that moment? How long,
Yeah.
how long did it feel like that lasted for? Was it like a couple of
It
minutes or?
it did not last very long. It was almost like, you know how like you feel like you take a nap that it just goes by like that.
Yeah,
It's like I remember watching her walk in and then I was up. Like it never happened, but I remembered it.
that is
So,
wild.
and she was, kind of freaked out by it a little bit because I could tell her what the room looked like and everything. I was like, yeah, you had these posters up on the wall over here, like there was like striped wallpaper. The bed kind of looked like this, but it was a different like color. And she was like, yeah, that's
That
crazy.
is so wild. I mean, that just blows your mind when you think, because time, how we perceive time, I think, is completely different on the other side, whatever that is. I think like you hear when people have like near-death experiences and stuff, they always say that time is like irrelevant, and that is
Well, I
wild.
actually have a crazy theory about this because
Let's
that's the only
go.
time it happened to me. So she had like an attachment that's been with her for a long time. It was this little girl. She named her Christina. And I had dreams in the house of like this Christina girl like guiding me into like a wormhole portal thing. And I'm like, this is weird. So I think that this was literally her dragging me through, like astrally. Like she took my like astral spirit and brought me to a different time. Because ghosts don't have perceptions of time. They can go in and out of whatever, like it's now, it's later, it doesn't matter. Like to them, it's not the same as it is for us.
Hmm.
So I feel like I was drugged there by her. Like she wanted to like bring me with her to show me like the younger. I don't know why. I don't know. But I remember leading up to that, I would see her in my dreams standing next to like a little wormhole thingy. I was like, this is what, like, why? Only when I spent the night at their house though. And then that
Interesting.
happened. And that's the only way I can explain that because I've never had anything like that happen again.
Wow. And so did that, the mum, your friend's mum, did when you told her that, did she remember that the spirit she saw looked like you? Or
Yeah.
was it, that is wild.
She did. She thought that I looked familiar because, this was like 20 years later and she only saw me for like 2 seconds. But
Yeah.
she remembered walking in there and seeing a strange person just sitting on the bed and she thought it was a ghost, but it was me.
That has blown my mind. That has.
That's the
That,
only time anything like that's happened to me before. And
because,
that's the only explanation I could come up with because there's like, it just doesn't, I don't understand it.
yeah.
I don't
I,
know how else it could have happened.
I mean, I talk to a lot of people that like astral project, and they say they can do that and go to places, and often that sometimes what we perceive as a ghost is possibly someone just doing that,
Yeah,
which blows my mind. But I mean, I know it can happen. I've talked to people that have described my house without seeing my house, and I'm like,
yeah.
how?
I've
That.
been working on the remote viewing thing, but I'm not really, I used to be able to astral project, but I'm not really good at it anymore.
Mhm.
I'm really out of practice, I think.
So in that moment, though, you was being guided by
I think
another
so.
spirit entity.
Yeah.
Man,
Into through the whatever time thing that she was trying to get me through.
yeah.
I don't know why.
And do you think
That
that
was
was to show that message was like to show to prove that to you or to prove it to the mum or maybe to both of you? You're
maybe
meant to
to
have that
both of
experience.
us. I don't know, but we're still really close to this day. I still talk to her all the time. Like we've been friends for almost 30 years now.
That is interesting. Man.
Yeah, she had a lot of interesting things with that little ghost girl happen at her house. I ruined a birthday party once. My friend was turning 12, and it was like the same night as homecoming, which is like a big deal, right? And so we had some friends over, and we were all like getting our hair and makeup done in the bathroom. And I remembered I walked past her room and I saw this girl who looked like one of the girls there, and she was digging through her suitcase, like just pulling stuff out, looking for something. And I was like, okay, didn't think anything of it. And I keep walking, and then when I get into the bathroom, every single person in the house was in the bathroom. I was like, wait a minute, I just saw you in there. I don't, but it wasn't her. It was that girl because they had the same kind of hair. It was like a long strawberry blonde hair. So I told her, I was like, don't freak out. But I think there was a ghost in here. And I think she was going through your stuff. And she was like, what? What do you mean? Because there's no way. So she walks into the room and like her suitcase is just like sprawled everywhere. Like all of her stuff is just like thrown around the room. And I was looking at my friend and I'm like, that's because it's a new person. They're checking out the new person. She's never been here before. She has to make sure she's cool.
Yeah.
She never came back
Wow.
after that.
That is
It
wild.
was kind of funny. It really freaked me out though, because I was like, but you were in there. I just saw you, but you're in here. I'm confused.
Yeah.
And we were like 12, so I wasn't really like old enough to be like, oh yeah, that was totally a ghost. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. So do you feel like the experiences you have today, are they stronger than when you were younger? Is it like something that's growing or is it about the same, the abilities you would say, or
Um, that's a good question. So I feel like I can control it more now. It still startles me sometimes, honestly. Like there's no way to get around that. Even, like you can't ever really get used to it, you know? Like you see a ghost and you're just like, ah, okay, okay. Like, but I think I just have grown into it more. Like I feel like it's definitely about the same, but that I have more control over myself. And I'm able to open myself to get specific information sometimes too. Like if I actually want to talk to you, I can. I used to just push everything away. Like, no, leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you. Um, but sometimes I do. Sometimes things will come to me and I'll talk to people, and if the spirits feel compelled enough to give me a message to somebody specifically, I almost can't not do it. Like it's like almost like you're just driven to do it and you can't. If you try not to, it just doesn't work.
Hmm. It's like a part of your journey. You have to.
Yeah. Because that's happened to me a few times. And sometimes I have to break people in, like get them on board with me a little bit first. Like,
Hmm.
hey, how do you feel about this? And like at my last job, this guy's son was going through a lot of stuff. Like he was just really angry all the time. And like, he's like, I don't understand what's going on. And then he showed me like a picture of him, and I saw like a really dark, like mass behind him. I was like, oh, dude, this guy has an attachment. Like, this is the problem. So I was like, so, and his son's like 14. So I'm like, let's have a conversation. So I wanted to kind of get him into like talking about the spiritual stuff. It's like, but like, do you believe in it? You know? I was like, great, okay. After like 2 or 3 days of talking to him, I'm like, I got something to tell you. Your kid has an attachment. That's why he's so angry. That's why he's lashing out. That's why he's locking himself in his room. And he's like, what should I do about it? Like, that's what he said, which made me feel good. I was like, great, you're listening. You're on board. We can do this. I can help you. Um, so I gave him some guidance, and he talked to his wife about it. His wife was kind of on the fence. Um, but he did it and it worked. So he said his son basically returned back to normal almost immediately, and he stopped needing to see his like psychiatrist and stuff.
Oh wow,
I
that's
was like,
cool.
that's because that's not what was wrong with him.
Yeah.
He didn't have like any mental problems. He had like a dark entity attached to him.
Hmm.
And I don't know how he got it, but we got to get rid of it. And a lot of times that's the case when people are going through psychotic breaks and stuff. It's not really anything that is internal. It's like an outside force that's like influencing them,
Hmm.
trying to make them think these things.
Yeah. They're literally being attacked.
Yes.
Man.
Yeah. Like me and my sister went on a road trip recently, and we were staying at this hotel that was definitely haunted. Like the lights kept going off, and she said that while she was driving, she would just get the random urge to like go off the road. And I was like, oh no. Like that's not right. Like how about we get this straight? Like let's cleanse your energy or something. Because like no. So I mean, you can pick up spirits anywhere. Like
Hmm.
if they feel like you look familiar or like your energy is kind of familiar, they'll just like they're yours now. It helps to know how to prevent stuff like that for sure.
Hmm. Does your sister have similar abilities or
Yeah,
is oh
yeah, she
interesting.
does. It is interesting, actually. I feel
Hmm.
like it's genetic.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely I think I feel like everyone can sort of to some extent have these abilities, but some people for some reason are just more naturally gifted, whatever it is. There's like more there's a reason why you can do this better than others. I don't know what it is, but is it in the family? Is it I don't know.
It might even be situational. Like, I know that she grew up in that house with us, so she was exposed to it at a really young age.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, as a toddler, she was like, "Yeah, there's like somebody standing at the end of my bed, just going boo." That's what she would tell us. We were like, "So you seeing a ghost? Great, like love it, love that for you." But I don't know if that made it better or worse for her. My mom has like some abilities, but it's not like ours. Like for me, it's definitely the strongest. My sister she can for sure see things though.
Hmm.
Like, and she's had attachments. I just removed some for her that were lifelong, apparently. I didn't know this, but I was able to develop my senses a little bit more to detect things that were trying to remain hidden because this thing was trying to remain hidden, but I would only see like its little like minion-y thing that looked like a gremlin or something. It almost looked like a reptile gremlin-y thing. I don't know. It would always hang off her leg and like bite her ankles and stuff. And like,
Whoa.
yeah, I talked to Megan about it though, and she told me how to like bubble it up essentially and send it into like a prison. I was like, cool, how do we do it? And I tried it and it worked, which was crazy for me because that was only like the first time I'd actually tried like trapping something
Hmm.
and moving it into another place. I'd never done that before. It took a lot of focus, a lot of concentration, and then my arms felt really weird afterwards, like jelly-like. And it was a really interesting experience. She said sometimes if you're not used to energy manipulation, your arms can feel like that.
Hmm.
So, but
Man.
I talked to my sister afterwards, and she was questioning me at first. She's like, "Well, if you remote viewed here, what was I doing?" And I was like, "Well, you were sitting on her bed coloring." And she's like, "Yeah, actually, like I know because I saw you." And I saw the thing hanging off of your ankle, and I like went like this, and I sent it here, and then like she's had no problems at all since then. She said she hasn't seen anything in the corner of her eye. She hasn't had anything like bad happen to her. Like all that stuff was being caused by this attachment.
Interesting. And you can physically see that on her. Like you
Yeah,
like
I could
man.
physically see it on her. Like I could see
Wow.
something scurrying around her ankles, like from the moment she walked in here.
Hmm.
And then she had something else with her that was scaring me at night. I was like, oh no, girl, we're getting rid of this. Like, I'm not about to have nightmares because of you. Like,
Yeah.
it came into my room once or twice and I was like, oh, absolutely not.
What
We're
was
getting rid of
that?
this.
What
It
did
was
that?
like this, it looked like a guy in like a long coat and like a hat. And he almost looked like he could have been like a preacher. And he was just standing right over by like the entryway of my room. I saw him twice, and that's all it took. I said, no, we're not doing this. I don't want anything in my house. I try really hard to protect my energy and protect my space, and we're getting rid of this right now. So I couldn't do it on my own though because it was like dark and I'm not used to handling like dark stuff. So I tried to, seek advice from other people that know more than I do and see what works for me. Because, not everything works for everybody. It's like practice and knowledge. I feel like there needs to be more information about this stuff, honestly.
Hmm.
It'd be really nice
Yeah.
to have like a class or something. Like, help.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. I just have
Was
to ask everybody.
was that entity like the Hat Man? Or was that like was that
No.
could you
I
see
mean,
like the face or
so I have actually seen the Hatman entity before. Um, When I was living, before we moved to the other super scary house, I was living in another house outside of Dallas, like in Dallas County. And that's when people in my family started getting into darker like behaviors and things, which can bring on literal demons. Like when you change your lifestyle, it can, oh no.
oh
Hold
the
on one
lights have
second.
gone
I'm
out?
sorry.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
sorry. I got logged out.
That's cool.
Um, but I saw it in my room a couple of times. Um, when I was a kid, and I think it made me sick once. I had so let me get the story right. I was about 8 years old, nine maybe, and I remember seeing it in my room for a few days, just standing in the corner, staring at me, and I couldn't see a face. It was just really tall, like it went basically from floor to ceiling, and it had like a top hat and a trench coat. And I was used to seeing stuff, so I was like, whatever, you know. But this one was different, and I didn't like it. It made me really scared, and I didn't know why. So I got really sick at school on Friday. Um, they said it was the flu, could have been food poisoning, I don't really know. But I had like a high fever, and I was like vomiting a lot. And my grandmother had a maid that she would occasionally have clean our house. So she sent the maid over to help, take care of me and clean up my room and stuff. And she walked into my room and she started like praying. I was like, huh, why is she doing that? And then she told me there was something there was something evil in my room. And I was like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm a kid, this is weird. But she took some oil and like blessed me with the oil. And then she went around the room and did it around the room. And then she lit a candle and said a prayer. And ever since she did that, I never saw anything in my room again, ever. And I was like, this is weird.
Hmm.
Whatever she did, I didn't have any concept of this at this time. was like, whatever she did somehow got rid of whatever was in my room. And I don't know what I like, I don't know what she did or
Interesting.
how she knew about it. It's
Yeah.
like she sensed it was there and just like decided to protect me or something. It was really weird. After she did that, I was fine the next day. I
Hmm.
wasn't sick at all. And like I said, I never saw anything standing in my room over me again, ever,
Hmm.
ever again in that room.
And was that like the when you hear the Hat Man stories and they're like darker than the dark, but you can just see the outline? Was
It
that?
was literally like, so I already slept in the dark room because I didn't like seeing anything in there. Because if I had any hint of light, I swear I could see something. So it was pitch black in there, and I could see it just standing in the corner looming, just not moving at all, just standing there. And yeah, it was like a shadow. It wasn't like because usually I can see people. Like I'll see like their clothes, I'll see their face, I'll see whatever they're wearing. For him, I didn't see anything. It was all just it was like a dark shadow. There was
Mhm.
no definitive features or details that I could really like point out.
Interesting. So many people see the Hat Man. I find it so fascinating how many people see entities
What do
like
you
that.
think it is? What do you think he is?
I don't know. I wonder if it's a, a type of something, a type of entity. Because I mean, some people describe seeing like 4 foot tall ones, and then like yourself, 7 foot, and they can go higher or smaller or whatever. I don't know if they're the same thing or if they're a type of entity and they look like it looks like a hat. I don't know. Because I often wonder that is it a hat or is it like just their shape and we perceive it as a hat? Maybe. It's very interesting though how many people see these things.
It's really interesting. I've always kind of wondered a little bit about that. I know there's some theories.
Mhm.
I've heard a few theories about it being like a watcher,
Yeah, yeah. Because
just
they're normally watching
gathering.
like during the night.
Yeah, like why are you watching us?
Yeah,
What is
yeah.
this for? I don't like
And
that.
are they I don't know, are they trying to get our energy or something? I don't know what they're trying to get, but
I would be interested to find out if people, after they saw the Hat Man, had different experiences after that. Like maybe they're watching them to see if they can like pair a demon with them or something.
yeah.
Because like I feel like it was afterwards that it started getting really bad for me, like with all the other things. Like
Interesting.
that was one of the first things that happened before it was like full blown like demonic activity.
Hmm.
But I
Hmm.
don't know because I've never really talked to anybody else that's seen one.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to know if
Hmm.
that's maybe what's going on with that.
I
They're like
mean,
scouts.
yeah, that's what it seems like. They're sent for something. I mean, it's never a positive experience. The Hat Man. When people see these things, it's always like obviously very negative. And normally, I mean, I don't think I've spoken to anyone that's had a positive Hat Man experience. But yeah, it does seem like they're watching. They're after something. I don't know what it is, but I woke up and seen like shadow figures. I've not seen like the shape of the hat, but very
I
very
feel like
scary.
you like your body almost can tell you when there's like something wrong in the area, like in your room. Like if you wake up and see a shadow figure, it's probably because your body woke you up because it like it's put on like high alert. Like it's almost like the fight or flight sensation like comes in.
Yeah, yeah, and you
It's
can feel it. Yeah.
yeah, you can feel it.
And now I'm wondering, and I thought this before, but is something there that is like maybe not a spirit, maybe not an entity, but just another person that can astral project and come and see you.
Yeah.
That I mean,
Never thought of that
that
either.
seems to be something that can happen, but
I
very
mean,
scary.
honestly, like, so spirits can project themselves in different forms in different ways. Like, they don't always look how they did when they died. They might look however they want to look. Like, they can put themselves like young and still like in their prime, or if they always felt like they should have looked like this, they'll look like this. And I almost wonder if we can do that when we astral project. Can we change our forms to look like different
Yes.
entities? Like, what if I wanted to try to look like a hat man? Could I do it? Could I
Yeah.
try to like be like watching somebody in the corner of the room looking like a hat man?
Yes. Yeah. I
Maybe.
had Preston Dennett on the show, and he was talking about astral projection, and he said that when he astral projects, in the other world that he's in at that time, he looks like a younger version of himself. So that's interesting. Like maybe that's how he wants to be perceived in that world, and that's how people will see him.
Usually how you want to be perceived is how you are perceived.
Yeah. When you're connecting with spirits, when there's an entity that's come to you, how do you see them? Is it just like a knowing, or do you actually see the physical form?
Generally
Or
see them. Like I can see what they look like. Sometimes if I don't see them though, it's almost like the images of them are sort of just like put into my thoughts. Like they'll just send me like scenes or something, or like this is like them with the person, or like, but generally when I see them, they're standing next to the person that they want to talk to, but the person doesn't always, they're not always perceptive to receiving it. And that's all they want is to just get them a message and then they leave them alone. They're like, I'm sorry, I just really need to tell them something. And
Mhm.
that's all it is most of the time
Yeah,
when I get
interesting.
the messages.
Yeah,
But I
man.
usually see them for what they look like.
Hmm.
Like I have to physically look at them and I can see what they look like.
Yeah.
I've seen spirits sometimes though that portrayed themselves in different ways.
Hmm.
Um, that didn't look like, but I mean, if you're trying to connect with a loved one, you generally try to look like what you did the last time they saw you or how they remember you, because that makes the most sense.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Man, Jessica, you blow my mind tonight. Super interesting. Going back to your the haunted house, the house where it was really a lot of activity going on and
Scary
quite
house.
demonic house. Yeah. Do you think that the dogmen that you saw were related to that, or do you
It's
think?
very possible. Very possible. Like I said, one of the theories was that it could have been a skinwalker.
Hmm.
Um, but there was a lot of activity. There was even a few UFO sightings by myself and by some of my friends because it was in the part of Texas where you could see the whole sky. Most of the time, though, it was just weird light formations that would like move in uniform.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I don't know. But like I said, the town was built on a ancient meteorite crater, so we always suspicious of
Yeah.
that to begin with.
Yeah.
They always said it had a weird energy to it. Like everybody in the town says it's a weird town, weird things happen. Like it's really known for that, like for the locals and stuff.
Yeah. Interesting. There's
I don't
definitely
go back.
air.
I don't go back there.
Are you?
I
Do you
don't
ever
know.
go back? Do you ever go back there, or?
I've been to my friend's house. That's as far as I've gotten. I've never gone back to the house that I lived in. We sold it just to a couple and they turned it into a vacation home and they've been trying to sell it for like years. Nobody ever wants to buy it. I understand why. I feel kind of bad because, I know it's haunted. They probably don't ever stay there. Nobody ever rents it out anymore either.
Yeah.
It's so now it's been taken off of all the bookings, like all the sites, and it's been taken off the market and it just sits completely empty. Nobody lives there.
Hmm.
So it basically is it's inoccupiable. Like there's no way anybody could possibly live there. It's just impossible. It's too hostile.
Hmm. Very interesting. Very interesting. If you ever go back, let us know. What sort of UFOs were you seeing above there? Sorry, I know we're going over we're nearly
So
out of time.
you're fine. The only thing that I recall specifically is seeing the lights, the
Hmm.
different lights. So I remember seeing like five or six lights just, at first they kind of look like stars, but then you realize that they all move at the same time in the same area and then scatter, which is really weird. So it's almost like they're a formation of something and then they scatter. But this is like before the time of like drones and all that other stuff because it was like 2002 or something, like that's not a thing. But that's kind of what it might remind me of, except really, really high up because it looked like it was blending in with the stars.
Hmm.
And I wasn't the
Interesting.
only one who saw that. My friends saw it too. All my friends that were with me because we were just hanging out at night, like just laying out, looking at the stars because it was a cool thing to do. So everybody saw it.
Yeah. Interesting. I've got to ask you one last Dogman question as well.
Uh-huh.
because I'll
Yeah.
kick myself if I don't. Do you think these creatures, and this is difficult because we don't know, but do you think these creatures are more of a flesh and blood living animal, or do you think it's a supernatural element to these things?
Personally, I don't think that it's flesh and blood. I do think that it's a supernatural element, and I do think that they project themselves to look like that specifically. Um, I don't know, because you know how there's human spirits, there's probably something else too. Like maybe certain cryptids might be able to look like that. Like they choose to look like that.
Hmm.
Um, and there's some kind of being that's not necessarily, I don't know, like I almost want to say it could even be like an alien species of some kind that's like on a spiritual level though,
Hmm.
because we as humans we aren't really capable of doing everything that other like beings are capable of doing. Like they might be able to like teleport, or like look like a dogman or like a Bigfoot, and we can't do that. So we can't even comprehend that. So, and they could be flesh and blood, but then be able to like transcend into something else.
Hmm.
Like maybe that's why they've been able to be so elusive,
Yeah.
because they can just be like, "Oh, I haven't spotted. Let me just go somewhere else."
Hmm.
Just I don't know.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Like a science that we just don't understand yet. Like they've got
Yeah,
abilities that we just don't understand how.
I think
Interesting.
that could be true. I mean, for them to be considered some kind of an alien species really is not that far-fetched.
Hmm. Hmm. For sure. Have you got Bigfoot sightings there as well? Have you had anyone
I've
see?
personally never seen one, but I had a really weird teacher that swore that his brother worked at a facility in Maine where they experimented on animals and created Bigfoots and things. And he wasn't supposed to talk about. He was a weird guy.
Whoa! What
Yeah,
your teacher used to say this?
he was the vice principal, actually. It was a weird school. So would tell us stories about all the Bigfoot sightings that he's seen up in like the Northeast, and how his brother like knows of the Bigfoots and knows where they were like created. And I was like, no way. Like,
What's his name? I need him on the show. Can you
I
remember his name?
I do remember his name. I do.
I'll ask
I
you
could.
after.
Okay.
I know you can say it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that was a weird guy.
That's a wild.
Yeah, he would tell us his high school students these stories, though. We were like,
Sounds
oh,
like a cool teacher.
I don't know if he still works there or not. I think
Yeah.
so.
You have to give me his name after. I'll try and get in touch.
Oh, okay, sure.
Sounds like a interesting conversation. Jessica, I've loved talking to you tonight. Thank you very, very much for coming on, sharing your experiences. Super interesting. You'll have to come back when more stuff happens, but it sounds like you're going to be experiencing a lot more going forward as well. So,
Let me ask my people about that stuff, and I'll get back to you for
yeah,
what I hear.
yeah,
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 because I
let us
want to know
know.
now too.
Well, thank you so much. Can you tell the listeners where they can find you if they want to reach you or?
Yeah. So I only really check my Instagram, but feel free to message me on Instagram or follow me or whatever. It's Jess underscore Haley 90 on Instagram.
Awesome, awesome. I'll share that in the show description. Thank you so, so much. I'd love to talk to you more. If anything else weird happens, please let us know. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show. Guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, make sure you share it where you can. That is a great way to support us. And we'll be back very soon for more freaky conversations. In the meantime, stay safe and keep it freaky. Bye for now. Thank you very much.